Welcome to another Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous with Nikki, Batgirl, D'Angelo, and today we're going to be going over the Aegis Dynamics Gladius. Now this is a hangar filled with Aegis Dynamics ships. I've got a Vanguard, a couple of Avengers, and a Retaliator inside of it, and not inside of it, of course, I have my Vanguard, and there's other ships as well that we'll talk about at a later date. But I'm doing this for those of you that may have $110 to spend, because that's what the Gladius costs. For most of you, you don't need to buy another ship until the game goes live. But for those looking for a ship that would be able to hold its own and almost excel at space combat, this is the ship for you. It's the Aegis Dynamics Gladius. It's an older design. It's a light fighter. It weighs in at 16,000 kilos. It is going to be 20 meters long, 16 meters wide, and 5 meters in height. It's a small spacecraft. Not small by comparison of some of today's aircraft. It would be more or less the size of an F-15 or a MiG-25, something from the previous era. When we compare it to the ships that I have in my hangar, like this Aegis Dynamics Avenger, and of course the Retaliator I just showed a few moments ago, it does share a lot of design elements with it. But it is nonetheless one of my favorite ships. Maneuverable, light, easily upgraded with different weapon systems, and very simple to fly. And that's why I like it. It is a little bit different in the 2.1 version of the PU. It does slide a little bit more than it should, being as light as it is, but it is a nice ship nonetheless. When it comes to weaponry, it doesn't have that much. It has, let's look at some of the other elements first, okay? So let's just look at the design first. The design is very sleek. It looks like something that would fly today, almost. There are some elements of it that do question the aerodynamics understanding of some of the people that make these. Specifically the elevators over here being so close to the wing, they wouldn't be able to fully extend. They would hit the wing if they were ever extended upwards. Alright, so there's a fuel pod. I'm not sure if it comes off or if there's other pieces you could put in here. For lower or smaller distances, I would hope that you could put like a jamming pod in here. But this is where the fuel goes. I can't even see where it would come off. It has canards up front and elevators in the back. I guess it has improved stability in atmospheric flight. In space flight, those control surfaces aren't needed at all. Here's one of the MK1 or MK18, I believe it is, the eight size 1 maneuvering jets that are on it. Now up front, it's got some pretty improved avionics, and it has a ass-kicking gun. Now this is a Scorpion. It's another one of those guns that like just hangs on a thread right on the nose, which I question every time. I wish they would make a design that would be more in tune with today's aircraft, specifically the A-10. Oh, look at that. The ship is moving as I talk. That's kind of weird. But CIG keeps on insisting on hanging a big-ass gun that has rotation and recoil on a tiny little pin, and I don't think they get the forces that are at work here. I mean, just spinning a Gatling gun in space would mean that you'd have to counter the force with something else to keep the ship from rotating around it. You know what I mean? So we would need some kind of stabilizing effects. Now we do have some missiles on this too. I'm not going to get too deep into them because I expect for them to be, well, I expect the missiles to be nerfed and upgraded and nerfed over time, but it does carry 3 on each wing. I like to carry Rattlers myself. But here's where things differ. This is a CF007 Bulldog on a gimbal mount. So you have a size 2 mount, so you could mount a size 1 weapon on a gimbal mount, which makes sense, right? So then you could maneuver your weapons with the mouse if you're a mouse and keyboard player to get on target. Myself, as soon as it becomes possible in the PU, I will be mounting the CF-117 Bulldogs or perhaps the CF-227s, the Panthers, if they allow it. Going back to the front where we have this massive weapon over here, the Scorpion, I question a lot of things. So let's get inside of it and let's take a look at what we get when we see the interior of the Gladius. I've already said it's an older design, so it kind of looks like a 1950s to early 1970s cockpit with the one change of it having MFDs. So they're trying to make it look older and not new, but still be realistically in a space simulation. Now from the outside, this is just one of the best looking fighters in the game. I am just head over heels in love with this, and I think it is, I wish I could remember which design it was, but it kind of looks like a ripoff from one of the Wing Commander games, which I'm not unhappy about. I loved Wing Commander, so having a ship that mimics one of the ships in Wing Commander is no problem with me. Such a beautiful ship, and the Aegis Dynamics ships, all in all, are very, very sweet. So here you have a light fighter in the front, you have a civilian police cruiser right behind it, and then you have a new medium fighter right behind that, and of course over to its left side, or our right side, is the Retaliator bomber. Of course on that side I have an M50 in front of a Avenger just to give size of the ships. I'm very happy with this ship, and let's get into the next part of the review, which is going to be flying it in space. So I decided instead of going into Vandal Swarm, I'd take it into the PU, specifically 2.1. So we're going to walk out here and we're going to try to get into it. 2.1 still has quite a number of bugs, but it's stable. It's a stable, buggy version. Is that at all possible? Yeah, it's stable, buggy. Well, there are bugs in it. It doesn't crash. Maybe that's what I mean by it being stable and buggy. It doesn't crash as much or at all anymore, but of course, because a wonderful person has given me the funds, has made a donation to the show, so I could purchase a brand new case, which I did, the Corsair. Oh God, which one is it? It's the high airflow case, Corsair Carbide Air 540. And of course, I also upgraded my H80i to an H110 IGT, and now I'm running Star Citizen at, well, I'm running it at about 28 to 35 degrees instead of 75 to 90 degrees. Yes, I said 90. That happened once, and I set up my system to shut down if it ever went over 72 again. And I don't have an Intel processor, like I said before. So we're going to take out the Gladius and we're going to bring it into some combat modes. So what's going on this week is I'm going to try to get with Ben. I want to give away 2 pieces of hanger flare. You can't sign up for that at this point because I already have 3 to give away. 1 hasn't been given away, and I'm going to give 2 away on the next show. And of course, I want to announce the winner of the Carrick contest. And that's going to happen on the next Ben's Day. So one of the things with the Gladius is that it is by far one of the most maneuverable fighters that I've flown. Now it's supposed to be. But what I've also found is that with the cannon in the nose, I don't have to worry about convergence. Alright, what's convergence, right? So you put your weapons all the way on the wings, but you're looking out the center line of the cockpit. So where are the guns going to fire at when they're on the wings? They're going to fire at a point in front of them. So what happens is they point the guns in just a tiny bit. That way they converge at a certain amount of, well, a certain amount of distance or a certain distance in front of the ship, sometimes 400, sometimes 500, 600, 800 yards. That's not modeled in here right now. Everything just fires straight at whatever you're looking at. But nonetheless, it is much more accurate to have weapons in the nose. Look at the P-39 versus the P-51 back in, or P-38 Lightning, P-39 Air Cobra versus the P-51 and P-47. They both had nose-mounted cannons, although the former, the Air Cobra, of course, did have wing-mounted cannons also. So I find that this Scorpion, which is amazing, just rips through the armor, but it looks like they did something to the Aurora here, which makes me want to go get one. That I think they made it out of stalinite. I've put so many rounds into this thing and it just won't die. I wonder if this is why Silius, who's a member of the Enablers, won't give up his Aurora. Because he knows something that we don't know, that the Aurora is actually indestructible. Holy cow, that thing. It must have taken about 3,000 rounds to take that thing down. Well, that's an exaggeration. Nonetheless, let's see if we can get our maneuverability in. We're going to turn tail and go towards this next ship. Alright, and speed is the name of the game when you're talking about the Gladius. Able to clock in at, I believe it's 235 SM, which I don't know what they are, or SMS, space meters a second, I don't know. And we're having a little bit of frame drop right now as we're coming around this. I think I was doing about 3 or 4 frames a second there for a few minutes. And of course, all these guys have logged in with absolutely no pilots. They warped in, they forgot the pilots. These things are just sitting there. So now we have a we have a problem. There we go, we blew that up. That was an Origin JumpWorks 300 series. I think it was a 325A. Next one up, we actually have one that's moving. So we can actually test the maneuverability. But the game's starting to bug out now, but you can see it tear through that ship with no problem. And now we're in the debris field and we're fine. We didn't suffer much damage, though we did suffer damage on takeoff. We lost one of our elevons, or elevators. Of course, an elevator in space is useless. Thank God we don't have to land atmospherically. Would really suck if we did, wouldn't it? And let's see. Are we getting any hits on this guy? Yes, we are. And let's move in for the kill. And you can see very maneuverable, very, very able to deal out that punishment. I should have done Vandal Swarm. In hindsight, you get a lot more action and a lot less frame drop. Mostly because if you do the Vandal Swarm, not co-op, you're working mostly off of your own CPU. Okay, we dusted another one, and he's gone. Another debris field. Thank you, CIG, for upping the ante on graphics in this game. It is just amazing. So I think I've shown you quite a bit there of the Gladius. It is it's a moderately inexpensive ship when you take when you take into account that there are ships for $2,500. And I'm not advocating that the masses of you go out and spend $110. That's not what I'm doing. It's just that for those of you that may have the disposable cash and are looking for another ship to purchase and don't want to spend the $200 or $300 on some of the newer ships and are looking for something that's versatile, maneuverable, and that you'll be able to master, this is the ship, the Aegis Dynamics Gladius. So I'm getting back into the studio, my computer's working, and hopefully Ben answers my call. If not, I'm going to have to sick Sandy on him because I know she will answer my calls as she does every time I do call her because we are friends. But Ben has been exceedingly busy. Let's just say that Chris was back in England and Ben was running the show back here. And that put a strain on our ability to actually do any kind of a Ben's Day. But we will get some Ben's Days out of the way over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully we have one in the next day or so. And we will be able to announce that Carrick winner. As soon as we get that done, I'll talk to Ben. I'm going to try to see if we can do another giveaway, but not so soon. I'm going to try to plan it for another milestone. And that milestone is going to be me getting to a total of 3,000 viewers. I want to get there. It's time to get there. You know, folks, I've been doing these videos for quite some time. And give me a reason to get back into that studio. Get your friends that play Star Citizen and get your squadron mates, your organization mates, whoever it might be, just to watch a video once in a blue moon. Specifically the Wednesday videos. If you don't want to watch my State of the Games or my Let's Pew Pews, that's fine. But Wednesday is a service that I do for y'all, and Ben does. And let's give them the buy-in, okay? And send your questions in too. The correct way to send questions in for Wednesday is to send them to the starcitizenaa@gmail.com and put Wednesday in the subject field. And last, but probably the biggest priority, all I want to do is say thank you very much, all of you, for giving me the drive to do almost 100 Star Citizen videos last year. We're now doing the first video of 2016, so that's a new season. So we're on season 4, episode 1. And hopefully I'm here to bring you a lot more, because this year we'll have Squadron 42, and we should see a lot of the Star Citizen game fleshed out for us. All right, folks, I'm going to let you be. With that said, you all be safe out there. Don't forget about patreon.com/Batgirl. That's patreon.com/Batgirl. And click the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And now with that said, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.